What up, YouTube? Friends on Google+. This is Daniel with Strategic Social Networking, and the topic of today's subject is gaining traction and visibility on Google+. Okay, for starters, I have built brands, I have built communities all over this platform. I've been involved with Google+ for a very long time. And just like many of the other users that have joined the platform in the past and a lot of the new people that are coming in today, just like you, I have a purpose on the web. Okay, you may be a blogger, you may be a vlogger on YouTube, you may have a gaming channel, and one thing that we all share in common as content creators is that we want to get traction and visibility for our content and our ideas. We want to get recognition for our work. I totally get that. I understand that. But what you have to understand is that just like with Google's organic search engine, they have certain rules, policies, guidelines that they expect the platform members to abide by. And likewise, communities also have their own rules and policies that they expect Google Plus community members to follow. A lot of those policies that are implemented in communities are widely agreed upon rules of engagement across the Google Plus platform. In fact, back in late 2012, when Google first rolled out communities, there were no real rules of engagement for communities. There was some very vague the guidelines for Google Plus that were published by Google themselves were pretty vague. It were basically like, don't harass people, don't spam. But the problem is they didn't define what they consider to be spam. And so this kind of left a lot of people in the dark. You know, a lot of people were getting their accounts flagged, suspended, terminated. I have seen this happen so many times I cannot even count. And they can't figure out why. Google tells them you're spamming, and they don't realize what they're doing wrong. So that's the purpose of this video today. I'm here to fill you in on how to avoid Google's algorithmic spam filters, how to keep in the good graces of the community base in Google Plus and not get in trouble with the communities, and how to gain more traction and more visibility for your purpose on the web and on Google+. Okay, so for starters, back in 2012, you know, there were no rules, there were no real rules or policies for communities. And when communities first rolled out, we all kind of started to develop our own policies on what would be acceptable use policies for Google Plus members and communities themselves. And it didn't take long before Google started to see these policies that we put into place, and they said, hey, you know what, these guys already have their own acceptable use policies, and they actually started to build their algorithmic filters around and their policies towards dealing with things like spam, harassment, etc., on top of the guidelines the communities are already put into place. And, you know, while Google didn't define what spam was, communities did. We did define that. And if you look at the guidelines that we put into place in strategic social networking, which have been modified a number of times, they've been added to, there's been stuff that's been taken away and added to it over time. Those are widely agreed upon rules of engagement for not just our community, but for the entire platform. In fact, some of those rules, if you don't follow them, your account will get suspended. You will lose all your visibility on the platform. You could have your account terminated. Okay, not all the rules, but a good number of them apply to the platform as a whole. And Google values those guidelines, and they are something that as a community base that the communities themselves have developed over time. Okay, so let's talk about the potential pitfalls of Google+. All right, here's how you don't gain traction and visibility on Google+. All right, like I said before, everybody wants to get their content out in front of a wider audience, and every day I see YouTubers jumping on to Google Plus, and brand new members that have blogs or bloggers, etc., and they want to get their content out in front of more people. So what they do is they take their posts and they make the duplicate posts across a whole bunch of communities. They just dump their content everywhere. Don't engage with anybody. Just post the same thing over and over and over in all these communities. And they think, for some reason, that if they post their content to 20 different communities, that they're going to get the visibility of all those communities. Nope, it don't work like that. Nope, you can forget about it. In fact, if you start posting the same thing multiple times to multiple places, Google will flag all those posts as spam. They will flag your entire account as spam. Once your account is flagged as spam, all those posts that you made in all those communities, they get dumped into spam folders, and they will sit there and rot and marinate until a moderator or a community owner decides what to do with them. And here's what you have to understand. When it comes to the community space on Google+, Google trusts a lot of their communities. They trust a lot of their community owners and moderators. And they put a lot of power in our hands. A lot of times, if we tell Google that what you're doing is bad, that's it. If you're harassed, if you go into communities and you're spamming and or you're harassing people or anything like that, and we report you, you're going to get suspended. At the very least, in the very beginning, the first time you get reported, you're probably going to get flagged as spam. You're going to lose all your visibility. After that, you're going to get suspended. After that, your account gets terminated. You're gone, okay? But back to what I was saying before, Google puts a lot of trust. They know who they can trust. Some of us have been here for a long time. They know who they can trust in the platform. All right. And there needs to be rules of engagement. There needs to be policies for people to follow. If there was no rules for engagement on social media, people would just go on Google+. They would harass people. They would threaten people. They would spam. They would do all these deceptive things that would ruin the social experience for the entire community. And let's face it, nobody wants that, okay? But so, for starters, don't spam. Don't dump posts all over the platform. If you're new on Google+, save the posting for later. Engage. Connect with people, okay? If there's anything that I understand about Google+, it's their algorithmic filters. In fact, I know them like the back of my hand. I have been doing this for so long. If Google was to change their spam filters, their algorithms, their ranking algorithms on Google+ today, I would wake up tomorrow and I would know it. I mean, I know the platform that well. I've been here for a very long time, and I know how their algorithms work. Okay. Another thing too is that you have to understand is that once Google flags an account as spam, all right, they don't always tell you about it. They don't tell you. You know who they do tell? They tell us. They tell the community owners and the moderators that they trust, hey, you know what, we're not so sure about this particular person. We're not so sure about this particular content, this post, whatever the case may be. And we want you to review this and basically let us know what you think of this or what action we should take with this, okay? So Google puts power in our hands to enforce their policies and ours on their platform. And a lot of the community base is centered around trust, okay? A lot of Google's algorithmic filters, their ranking algorithms and so forth are based on trust, okay? If you are deemed as being a trustworthy entity on Google+, you will rank higher. You will be rewarded with more visibility. Google will not flag your posts. They will leave your account alone. You'll be able to post freely in communities when you want. there's benefits to building trust with Google. There's benefits to building trust with communities on Google+. There's benefits to building trust as a whole with the public, with the wider public on the web. Okay, so don't spam, don't post everywhere, don't post the same thing multiple times in multiple places. Don't even do it twice. Okay, I'm telling you what, all your posts will get flagged. And here's what you have to understand, okay? If you are posting, depending on what communities you post in, if it's a community that Google really trusts, and that post gets flagged, your post gets flagged as spam, and the moderator decides to ban and report and reject your post, the next step is, after that, you have already been flagged as potentially being spam, okay, by Google's algorithmic spam filters. You're already in the hot seat. And now a moderator from a trusted community, this is a person and a brand that Google already trusts, and they're telling Google that you're bad news, your account's going to get suspended. Flat out. Usually what Google will do is suspend your account for 2 weeks, okay? That's typically what they do, all right? After that, you're gone. You're gone. Your account's closed. You're out of Google+. You're not welcome back. Yeah, that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes, okay? So what you want to do, you don't want your post getting flagged as spam, okay? You don't want that. So you should make each post once, only once, one time, into one place, to one community, etc., and leave it at that. And if you really, 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 if you really want to gain traction and you really want to gain more visibility on Google+, you know what gains the most traction for content and whatever your purpose is on social media? It's engagement. Okay, Google's algorithms are they're a lot like they're similar to Facebook's. Okay, the more engagement you get, and the more relevant that engagement is to the purpose of your content or whatever idea you're trying to share, the more visibility you're going to get in return. Okay, things like plus ones, comments, shares, these all increase your visibility, okay? Shares are good. When people share your content from a community back to public and they have 10 or 20,000 followers on Google+, this is great. They're putting your content out in front of more people. Now, Google doesn't automatically show your post to every single person's followers, okay, that shared your post with their followers. They're not going to show it to everybody. They're going to show it, a lot of times, they will put that content out in front of people that their algorithms point out as being relevant to the purpose of your content, okay? Other times, it'll just end up out in the home streams, and people will just see it, and it's up to people to decide whether or not to engage with that content, or if it's something that even interests them, okay? So here's the thing. When you post something in a community, what a lot of people do, and this is what screws them up, this is what they're doing wrong, okay? This is what people on Google+ are doing wrong. They go and they make up, not only do they spam communities, but they just ignore the platform. They just ignore the entire community base of the platform. They just ignore everybody. They go in and make a post and they just ditch and they just leave the community. They're nowhere to even be. They're not even talking. Okay. If you're not talking, how do you expect to be heard? Be loud. Be loud on social media. The louder you are, the better. Talk. Connect with people. Engage with people. If the people who like you and they get to know you and they like what you have to offer, they're gonna be more likely to engage with your content, not just today, but in the future, okay? I have people that have no interest in what I do, but they have a personal interest in me, and they like me, and you know what? They're just gonna share my content. Yep. They're just going to share my content. I have friends in Google Plus. If they, when they're on the platform, they'll go and check out my profile, and they'll just share a post to public to help me keep my visibility up. Yep. And they have no interest in it at all. But they like me. We're friends, and they're going to share my stuff. And so it pays to make friends on social media. It really does. It doesn't pay to dump posts in communities and then run away. If you're ignoring everybody on social media, if you're ignoring the world's going to ignore you. That's how it works, okay? And the most powerful metric for gaining traction on Google Plus has to do with relevance, and it has to do with engagement, okay? Comments are number one. Comments, positive constructive comments in your posts. Google will say, wow, if 20 people are commenting on this must be something important. This must be something interesting. It's going to get higher. It's going to get more visibility on Google's platform, on their social platform, okay? Likewise, relevance matters, okay? If it's something, if Google deems, say you make a post about a gaming news post about something that's going on in the industry, Google, and it's something that's up to date, it's current, people are engaging with it, they're sharing with it, they're commenting on it, Google may pump that out in front of more people that are interested in gaming news, okay, or whatever the purpose is. So that's what you have to understand. Relevance matters. And building trust. Back to what I was saying earlier. If you want to gain traction and visibility on Google+, you need to build trust with the people that have been here all along. You need to build trust with the people who are already trusted, with the brands, the community base, the entire community base that's trusted, and with Google themselves. And the way you do that is by connecting with trusted other, already long trusted entities on the platform, okay? If your interest, let's say you're a tech blogger like me, okay? I have been blogging about information technology for years, all right? If you want to increase your visibility, if you want to gain traction with those who are in your industry, then connect with them, okay? If you want to become an influencer on your subject matter, then connect with other influencers, which we hear this all the time. But I can't agree with the way that a lot of the articles I've read this past year regarding, you should beg influencers to share your content and acknowledge you. Don't do that. That's garbage. Be yourself. Be yourself. Don't follow the crowd. Be the leader. Okay. If you're just regurgitating the same ideas over and over again, nobody's going to pay any attention to you. If you're just begging, if you're begging for attention, nobody's going to pay attention to you. Have something tangible to share with others that's useful to them. Something that they can make use of, okay? Blog about the subject matters that you're really knowledgeable about, the stuff that you really, really like, you're really passionate about, and share your opinions and your ideas with others, okay? That's the stuff that matters. Now, what you want to do is connect. If you're a tech blogger, connect with other tech bloggers. Go find communities centered. If you're a social media enthusiast, join the communities that are centered around social networking and social media as a whole. Connect with those people that are in those communities, okay? Don't connect with the influencers. Don't just run around and beg for influencers' attention. Why beg for the attention of influencers when you could be the influencer yourself? What is your influence? That's what matters on social media, not what somebody else's influence is. If you're chasing after everybody else's influence, you're never going to have any yourself. Nobody's going to pay any attention to you. You're not going to get anywhere, okay? Here's another thing, all right? Don't just ignore communities, all right? If you have a purpose on the web and you're trying to gain visibility for that purpose, join relevant communities that are centered around your purpose and connect with the most active members in those communities. They are the power players on Google+. Okay, there is, out of the 124,000 members of Strategic Social Networking Community, I could think of probably about 100 that are major players in the industry, like SEMrush, Mike Alton. There are some people, some tech bloggers in there that have been there for a long time. And if you connect with these guys and they like what you have to offer, man, just getting them to acknowledge you or share your content, you can get a lot. You can gain a lot of traction. So and there's some people that fall in between. We have some bloggers who post regularly. Maybe they're not huge tech bloggers, but they're well known to the 124,000 members of our community. And if they're paying attention to you, it's more than likely that even though they're not major influencers, they have an influence in the community and they have a strong one there. And if they're paying attention to you, the rest of the community is more likely to as well. Another thing you want to consider doing is connecting with the moderators and the community owners and gaining traction with them. Those are the real power players, man. I tell you what, you hear about all these influencers and all this stuff. Well, when people go and they post in Strategic Social Networking, or they go and they post in my gaming communities, and etc., who's really in power? Who's really in control? At the end of the day, we are the ones, I myself and the brand managers and the community moderators, we're the ones that have the power to decide what is worthy and what's not. Yeah. If we think that your content is really credible, we think it's really great content, and it really has something really, really worthwhile to offer to the wider Google Plus community, we have the power to pump that out in front of 1 million people if we feel like it. We can do it. And the other thing you have to understand is that if you connect with moderators, if you connect with community owners, you might be able to be put in a position of power yourself to open that can open the doors for you to become a moderator, for you to manage a brand on social media and to get ahead on Google+. Okay. And so here's the other thing too. If you get banned by a community, if for whatever reason, okay, it happens, all right, you did something wrong, you screwed up, you get banned, contact a moderator, ask for help. Contact a lot of communities like ours all have brand pages. You can contact a brand page. You can get a real human that will respond to your concerns. If you don't know what you did wrong, ask for help. Always read the guidelines for the communities you post in. They vary wildly. There's a lot of widely agreed upon policies that are accepted, that are agreed upon by the larger community base, okay? Such as don't spam, don't post multiple times, multiple places, don't harass people. This is not YouTube. That's another thing too. I see all these channels coming in from YouTube, and on YouTube, for a long time, there's been very little accountability. Very, very, very little, all right? On YouTube, people have gotten away with running post to post, channel to channel, video to video, dumping expletives, profanity everywhere, harassing people, harassing the channels, harassing the content creators, etc. And then they get on Google Plus and they start throwing profanity in communities and stuff, and threatening people and doing all that kind of stuff like they were doing there. And guess what? Happens? They get suspended on the spot. Yeah, they get terminated. I have watched YouTuber after YouTuber after YouTuber who have joined our gaming communities just get thrown out of Google Plus. Okay, if you go into a community, and a lot of times, a lot of communities, a lot of moderators, if you're doing something wrong, they will make a note in a post before they delete it. from their spam folder or whatever, they reject it or delete it from the community flow, and they'll tell you, hey, we need you to review our community guidelines before posting again, or they'll tell you this violates our policy regarding spam, harassment, whatever the case may be. Don't get an attitude with them. I'm telling you, you don't want to piss off the trusted communities, because if you do, you just pissed off Google. Because if these guys tell Google that you're bad news, then your visibility is down the tubes. Okay, and it's going to be really, really tough for you to get back into good standing with Google again. Because if those trusted communities don't trust you, Google don't trust you. Google will take their word for it. All right, we've had YouTubers go into Gamers Bay and make posts and spam and not follow any of the guidelines. They follow none of them. And when we try to let them know what they're doing wrong, they would go and throw profanity at the moderators. And I have watched the moderators in Gamers Bay report those posts and report the statements that were made from those members, and their accounts were suspended on the spot. Yes, Google trusts us, okay? And if you're harassing people, not following guidelines, etc., your visibility is down the tube. You're going to get suspended. You're going to get terminated. Another thing you want to do too, like I said, read the community guidelines. Read them. Okay, they're not all the same in every community. Some communities won't allow brand pages to post. They won't allow people to post. Some communities won't allow people to post unless they have a personal profile picture or they use their real name. I know this is is a little heavy-handed. We do allow brands to post in our communities, but not all communities do. Most communities, and I'll warn you right now, I don't care what the rules state in the community, always include a full description in everything you post. That is like one of the biggest pet peeves of moderators. That pisses them off when people go in communities and they dump a post and don't explain anything about what the post is about. Nothing. They have a link in there leading to some website or to a video or embedded video on YouTube, and there's no explanation to what the content even is or what its purpose is. They just dump the post. That pisses them off. In many cases, you'll get banned. You'll get reported as being spam, etc. Don't do that. Always include a full and accurate description to all your posts. And engage with the community basis. Engage with people. If Google, I'll tell you what, brand new accounts on Google Plus are the most likely to get flagged. The accounts that have very few followers and they have not engaged with others in the platform much, they are the most likely to get flagged. One of the things you can do to build trust with Google and with the platform is to, like I said, engage with people. All right, don't post everywhere or anything like that, and connect with people that are already trusted. Connect with people that have thousands of followers. Start to engage. Build friends in the platform. Engage regularly. Save the posting for later. Now's not the time. If you're brand new and you have no followers and you're posting everywhere, communities won't have to flag anything. Google will do it for them. Like I said, you don't want to get flagged or anything like that, but yeah, we have rules for a reason, and people are expected to follow them. No, this is not YouTube. We have, Google Plus is a heavily moderated platform. More than any other platform, any other social platform on the web, we are more well moderated than Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, anything. And that's because Google puts the power of policy and guideline enforcement in the hands of those that they trust. The communities, the community owners, and so forth. They know who they can trust. There is thousands of us that are deemed trustworthy to Google. And if we tell Google that you're bad news, that's it. You're bad news. Okay? And you don't want to end up in Google jail. Alright? Here's another thing you want to avoid when you're making posts, whether it's to public, to communities, etc. Don't keyword load your posts. Don't load your posts with 50 hashtags and all this garbage. You're going to piss people off. Don't do that. You're going to piss off Google. If you're loading your posts with a whole bunch of hashtags, Google's going to flag it. They're gonna flag it. That's considered spam. They're gonna flag that. We don't allow it. You will get your post. I don't know. I'm not gonna say that we ban people for that. Not initially. We'll usually give you a warning, and we usually will direct people to review our community guidelines before posting again. We won't allow it. I'll tell you that. But you don't want to end up in Google jail. It's not cool. It's not fun, especially if you have a purpose. And, you know, you don't want to end up, you ever look at these profiles? If you ever see a profile on Google Plus where they have like 100 posts. I see this every day in our spam folders. I'll go and open up a spam folder in one of our communities, and I'll go, man, this guy's not following any of our guidelines at all. And when you go and you look at the person's profile, you can see they made like 30 posts last night. There's no signs of life anywhere on any of their posts. They've obviously they've all been made to communities. They've all been flagged. This person has virtually no followers. They're getting no visibility. I mean, the world might as well not even know they ever even existed at this point, okay? And they can't figure out what they're doing wrong. And you know what? A lot of people are so ignorant. You'll tell them what they're doing wrong, and they'll argue it. They'll argue it. Like in strategic social networking, we'll tell people, hey, you can't post the same thing multiple times, multiple places. You're spamming. This is not acceptable. Please review our community guidelines. We're nice about it. Our policies are not in place to punish people. They're meant to help people. That's our purpose. Our purpose of our community guidelines and guidelines of Google is not to punish you. They are to help you. But if you can't, the matter is this: you can't help people that are not willing to be helped. That's what it comes down to. You just can't. And if the moderators tell you, hey, this is what you're doing wrong, you really should take value into what they're saying, because if you don't, you get flagged as spam, you get your account suspended, terminated, etc., whatever the case may be. You don't want that to happen. And like I said, the biggest thing when it comes to gaining that traction and visibility, anything can go viral on Google+, okay? So here's the thing. How do you get up the ladder? How do you get Google to say, wow, this is really important content, this is something really interesting, this is something really entertaining, this is something that we should put out in front of more Google Plus members, this is something that should be in our trending section on Google Plus, okay, which was previously called What's Hot. And I have had back in 2013, when I didn't know anybody on Google Plus, nobody knew who I was nobody. And I had, I think, less than 200 followers. And when I had my first post go viral, okay, I'd written an article about Daft Punk's new album, and I made the post to public, and nobody even knew who I was. I had less than 200 followers, and it hit What's Hot in 5 minutes. It was all over Google Plus, and it got shared like 800 times, and I got like 10,000 people or whatever it was to read that article that day. Great. I did it again. Like a week later, I wrote an article. I think it was called, Who's Winning the Social Media War? That went viral. It got thousands of shares, not just on Google Plus, on my own website. I got thousands of shares. And that's another thing too. If you want to gain traction and visibility on Google Plus, just like any other social platform, have working social buttons on your website. Have social media integration on your web pages. If you're a blogger and you're directing traffic from Google Plus back to your blog, give those people a reason to reshare your content back on Google Plus. And here, I'll tell you why. Okay, on average, out of the 500 whatever articles I've written in the last almost 4 years, that a majority of those have been posted to Google+, okay? For every single one share that I get on Google+, on average, I get 10 or 15 more directly from the web page itself. In fact, in many cases, I think there's a post pinned up on my profile right now. I think it has like 16 or 17 shares, something like that. If you go look at the article, at the top right corner of the page, the top right side of the web page, you'll see my social networking buttons, and they have counters. okay, on them. And you can see it got 100 more shares directly from the web page itself. Why? Because I have social sharing buttons right there on the web page so that people can reshare my content back out onto Google Plus, Twitter, Pinterest, wherever. Okay, and if the content's really good, people will share it. I got over 250,000 shares on platforms like Google Plus. I've got millions of people to read my articles on Google Plus. Okay, and the other thing too is that it's not that's just it. You don't have to have 1 million followers. A lot of people think it's all in the numbers, and it's not. It's not. It's about creating compelling content that people will like. It's about engaging with people and not just about building an audience. All it takes is somebody to say, hey, I really like this, and to share it with their 8,000 or 10,000 followers, and then another person to say, wow, this is really cool, and then they share it with their followers. All it takes is one share on Google Plus to reach 5 million people. Yep, that's it. That's it. If you can get the right person who's relevant to the purpose of your ideas and your content to reshare that content, it can get pumped out in front of hundreds of thousands of people. I've seen it happen. It happens every day. And I have seen posts go viral in our communities. I have seen posts in Strategic get 500 shares, get thousands of plus ones, hundreds of comments. It happens. SEMrush, okay, the data analytics company, okay. Back in the early days of Strategic, they used to post in there almost every day. And man, you know what? They would make a post and people loved their content so much that it was like they'd make a post and 10 minutes later they'd have 150 plus ones, 50 shares, 35 comments. Their stuff is just off the hook. And then somebody else would come in the community and make a post and it would just get ignored, just get completely drowned in the community. Nobody would even pay attention to it. It still happens today. We still, to this day, are battling this issue with people going into our communities like Strategic Social Networking, dumping their posts in the community, and then leaving, just disappearing. And then they can't figure out why nobody is paying any attention to them. But the problem is they're not paying attention to anybody else. They're ignoring the rest of the community, okay? And in the long run, it does help to build an audience. It does help to gain followers and so forth. But like I said, that's not everything. A lot of people on YouTube think that you have to have 1,000, 3,000, 5,000, 10,000 subscribers in order to get visibility. But the fact of the matter is, our gaming channel, Gamers Bay, and we are not a big entity on YouTube. We are on Google Plus. I think we have like 25,000 community members and followers. Gamers Bay does on G Plus alone. That doesn't include our Twitter account or anything else. On YouTube, last year, I think we had like 70 or 80 subscribers, and I think our visibility was somewhere around 35,000. And we didn't even produce a video the whole year. Okay, so what it comes down to is the content, the purpose, the idea, relevance. And the other thing too is you need authority and influence to rank on Google+. You need authority and influence to rank on YouTube. You need authority and influence to rank on Google's organic search engine, okay? I gained my authority and influence by sharing my knowledge about information technology with the wider G+ community, okay? Like I said, at the beginning of my time on Google+, I didn't know anybody here. I was nobody, and I did not create Strategic Social Networking. I co-own the brand today. When I joined Strategic Social Networking, we had roughly, I think, 2,400 members, something like that. It wasn't that many people. And I helped grow this brand to 124,000 people it has today. Okay, and I didn't beg influencers for attention or anything like that. I didn't go to influencers on Twitter. Oh, so and so, could you share? Would you mind sharing my post? Would you mind reading my article? You know what? Content that's awesome. You don't have to beg people to read it. People are going to take notice of it on their own. I've never begged anybody to share my content. I don't have any reason to do that. They do it on their own. Like I said, I got 250,000 shares. on Google Plus. Did I have to beg people? No, they did it on their own. They did it on their own. If you go to PCTechAuthority.com, click on any page on the site. Man, I've got articles that have, for a single article, they have like 8 or 10,000 shares for a single article right from the webpage. That's not including all the shares that I had on Google Plus itself with the posts. So you can gain monster traction and monster visibility on Google Plus. Yes, it's slowed down, over time. There's a lot of craziness that's gone on with Google Plus. Google Plus, the leadership I don't think is that great right now. They've made a lot of mistakes with the redesign of the user interface, etc. There's a lot of things I don't agree with, and traffic is not as great as it used to be, but there's still millions of people there. You can still get a lot of traction for the content that you produce. And you can still build an audience for your purpose on the web. You can still get ahead on Google+. Okay, so it's voiding spam algorithmic spam filters, engaging with others on the platform, and not just your own content. And here's another thing. We all have profiles, okay? And we all want to gain visibility. If you have a website, if you have a blog, create a brand page. Create a brand page to connect with your blog. And I'll tell you why. Because here's what is acceptable. And this is not considered spam. And you can totally do this, okay? To help pick up visibility for your posts. When you make a post to a community, do it with your profile or your main profile or with your brand page, however you want to do it is fine. Let's say you make a post with your profile to strategic, okay? You could then use your brand page, share that post back to public with your brand page. Totally acceptable. You can totally do this. There's nothing wrong with it. It's totally fine. There's nothing to worry about. You don't have to, that's not considered spamming. Google does not have a problem, and as the community base, we do not have a problem with you sharing your content with your own audience. I am not against that. We don't have any policies in place that will reprimand you for it. There's nothing wrong with that. It's totally fine. We have community members that do it all the time. I do it myself. It's something that a lot of us practice we adopted early on with communities. You can totally do that. It's totally cool. I make posts, gaming related posts to Gamers Bay, and the Gamers Bay moderators and stuff, the brand managers, they will share it back to public on Gamers Bay with our brand page, with Gamers Bay brand page. So there's nothing wrong with that. You can totally do that. What you don't want to do is start taking brand pages and profiles and start making duplicate posts in communities. You do it even twice. One time. I mean, you go and you make a post in one community and take that same post in another community, and people will try sneaky things to try to get around Google's algorithmic filters. What they will do is they will take the same post, they'll post it 3 or 4 times in 3 or 4 different communities, and they'll use a different description. A unique description for each post. Doesn't matter. It's still going to get flagged. You're still going to end up in the spam folder. You're still going to end up in Google jail. You're still going to get your account suspended or terminated, whatever the case is. You don't want to end up in Google jail. You don't want that. It sucks. Okay. And so, like I said, the influencers, yeah, you can connect with influencers, but you know what? You should be connecting with the influencers that are in communities. Those are the people. Those are the real power players. They're the ones that can get you ahead on Google+. Connect with the community owners and moderators. They're the ones that have the power. If I like something I see, if I like a piece of content that I see and it's something I agree with, I have the power to put that out in front of hundreds of thousands. I can put that out in front of the entire community. I can put that out in front of a lot more people on Google+. I have the power to spread that all over the web. I can do that. Okay. So that's the thing, connect with the community basis. Don't just dump a post in there and just ditch and then wonder why, and then sit there and end up like these idiots where you go to their profile and you see they have 50, 100 posts and there's no engagement at all. No one's even paying any attention to them. They're being totally ignored. Why? Because they're ignoring everybody else. It sucks. Okay. And so, like I was saying before, if you have a problem in a community, if you get banned or something like that, ask before you post. Always read the community guidelines for the communities you plan to post in. And another really good practice is engage in the communities you plan to post in first. Post later. Get to know the moderators. If you're friends with moderators, you're going to be 10 times less likely to have your content get flagged by Google. Okay. And the other thing too is a lot of moderators, a lot of communities don't allow people to post if they have not engaged first. So like I said, the rules are different for each community that you go into. They're not all the same. But there's a lot of potential pitfalls here, and hopefully you guys can avoid this. Take my advice, and you can avoid these pitfalls. You can avoid, getting flagged. And, like I said, you can't, that's the other thing too, don't harass people. Like I was saying before, don't harass people on the platform. And I'm going to make a link to the article. It's called Not Getting Visibility on Google+. Here's why. And I penned this back, I don't know, originally, I think the original post was it was updated July the 3rd of this year. It was originally posted sometime in 2015, early 2015. And here, I'll give you an example. This guy, I'm not giving any names, this was back about a year and a half ago. People were posting a lot of GIFs, okay, that he followed, all right, and to public and stuff. And so he got pissed off and said, I don't want you people sharing GIFs anymore with me. I don't want you posting GIFs anymore. Well, don't tell people what to post and what to share. If you don't like what somebody has to offer, then don't follow them, all right? You just don't do that. If you can control your social experience on Google+, you can fine-tune if you go to your account settings on Google+, okay, you can control who has the ability to engage with you. Okay, you can do that. You have the power to control who engage with you through your account settings. So don't blame other people for what they share with you. If it's your decision to decide who you follow on Google+. All right. So anyways, what this guy did was he was complaining about people posting GIFs. So thousands of Google+ members hammered this guy with GIFs. They kept mentioning him in the post with GIFs 24 hours a day for like 7 days a week. This went on for like a week, okay, over a week of this guy just getting hammered with like tens of thousands of GIFs. So you don't want to piss people off, and don't harass people. Like I said, on YouTube, there's long been a system where there's almost no accountability. And these people, if you're from YouTube, you have a gaming channel, if you've been on there throwing profanity at people, harassing people, you can forget about it, dude. It's not going to happen here. You will get thrown, you will get banned. You will get kicked out of Google+. You will get terminated. All right. We have zero in our communities on Google+, and with Google themselves, we have a zero tolerance policy for harassment. And if you go in and you look at the guidelines in strategic social networking, and here I'm going to pull them up right now. It says right here, please be respectful to other users. There's constructive criticism, then there's downright trash talking, and there's a huge difference. Everyone is welcome to express themselves freely here, but purposely bad-mouthing others for any reason will not be tolerated. And Google follows, that's the same. We are all in agreement with that. When it comes to Google, the communities, etc., it's not going to be tolerated here. Do not harass people. Now, I understand at times that people get into arguments, and that's fine. You know what? People are not always going to agree on things. I've seen people get into fights in strategic, and our policy is to stay out of it. And sometimes people will use harsh words. I get that too. Sometimes it's not that people are intending to harass people. It's just they feel so strongly about something that sometimes they use harsh words. They're upset. I understand that. I totally get it. We're not out, things happen, people argue, people fight. We're not out to reprimand people because they have strong they have strong personal feelings about and convictions about something. We're not out to do that. You know, we are out to reprimand the people who are just, you know, going into communities and bad mouthing people and just harassing people, you know, throwing profanity at people for no reason at all. There's no argument at all. You're just being a total douchebag. Your account's going to get suspended, and if you do it again, yeah, we'll see to it that your account is closed. And that's the bottom line. So don't do that. Another thing you shouldn't do in communities, and this is just, communities in general do not like people posting advertisements for products and services. There's very few communities that will allow it. What we generally allow in our communities, if you have a product or service that you want to pitch to our members or to the wider Google Plus community, we do allow people to mention their products and services at the end of their post. All content in our communities, and generally in communities in general in Google Plus, should have content with a purpose. And then you can mention your products and services afterwards. So, you know, we have a business here too, okay? We're a media organization. And we want to draw traffic to our websites and things like that, our YouTube channels. So I totally understand, you know, that you have a product or service you want to sell. I don't have a problem with you selling your products and services to our community members. But the purpose of our communities is not to sell products and services. Our communities are a place to engage. They're a place for social interaction. So if you have a product or service that you want to pitch in strategic social networking or any community on Google+, save it for last. You know, write an article, you know, talk about, you know, share something that's worthwhile and then mention a related product or service or something that's related to that content. That's totally fine. Don't post multi-level marketing stuff. That's outright. The communities are going to ban you. You're going to get kicked off Google+. No one's going to go for that. MLM stuff is out. It's outright. You really should disclose links about what you're linking to. If you use shortened URLs, like our policy in strategic social networking, we implemented this policy. If you use shortened URLs, include the name of the site of the link that you're leading to. And the reason that we put this policy in place is because we were getting posts that were leading to malware-infected websites, that were infecting people's computers with malware. We screen everything for malware. We screen the crap out of our communities for malware. If you are leading people to spammy, malicious websites and stuff like that, you're going to get banned. You're gone. Google's going to de-index you from their search index altogether to begin with, and you may get reported to authorities. If we deem that something is violating the law and not just guidelines, it's more than possible. We will report it to the authorities outside of the web, and then it would be up to them to decide what to do with that situation. So hopefully hopefully this information that I gave you guys will help to make your stay on Google Plus better, and you will gain traction. You will gain more visibility. And like I said, you know, engage first, post later. If you fail to follow these guidelines that are in these communities, some of them are harsh. You can choose what communities you want. I have some communities that I don't care for that I think are really heavy-handed. I don't care for them, and I just don't. We created Gamers Bay because one of the gaming communities I was in I just thought it was a total disease. All right, and like I said, you know, you can get ahead on Google Plus, but you have to understand. You have to understand what the rules are. What does Google, you know, what Google and what the community base as a whole, as a wider whole, thinks, you know, expects the members of Google Plus, the rules that we expect people to abide by. We have rules for a reason. And if you're not sure about something, you know, contact a moderator in the community. You know, if your stuff gets posted, if you get suspended by Google themselves, and you're not getting answers from Google, contact Strategic Social Networking's brand page. contact them, send them a message, because more often than not, if you get suspended after doing something in one of our communities, contact us, let us know, and we can explain why. We do understand, why Google suspends accounts and so forth, and we can usually give you a heads up 99% of the time as to why your account was suspended, based on the information that Google gives you. If they say your posts, you're spamming, it's likely that you're making multiple posts, multiple places, and that's why. And so that's it. That is, hopefully, these are the key steps to gaining more traction and visibility on Google Plus. If you haven't checked out Strategic Social Networking's community, definitely do check out our brand page. We follow a lot. We share a lot of the current news, the social media and social networking news from across the web with our brand page and in our community. And until next time, take care.